Okay, first play of the game, and let's just take a look at Ulrich. And you're going to see a lot of rim deterrence from Ulrich in this game, and a lot of shot contests, and nice switches on the perimeter. Now, my view is if you're 7 foot tall, which is, I mean, I would assume he's around 6'11" right now, with a 7'4" wingspan, and you can move your hips like this, and you can move your feet like this, and you have this kind of motor. Honestly, you're a nightmare. And I understand, like, just look at that contest. Like, that is some serious rim deterrence. And I understand that he probably get faked out, and you're gonna see a lot of good and bad from Ulrich. There's like I know this was a big breakout game, but there's plenty of times where he's made mistakes, and we're just capturing all of it. The Raptors 905 did try to play Ulrich with Brandon Carlson, so like kind of creating that towering front court, but they really needed him tonight. Take a look. This is going to be a successful block. He blocks it with his left hand. So he tries to go out with his right hand, doesn't get it with his right hand, and he gets it with his left hand, which is super cool. There are certain shot blockers that are really not very skilled at blocking with both hands. There are some that are more left hand shot blockers, more right hand shot blockers. I've seen Ulrich block shots with both hands. So it is kind of cool that he can do that. All right. Mm, okay. Here's the third play. So he closes out kind of hard, gets himself a little out of position. So now he's in recovery. Sorry, I apologize. He was not the guy who closed out. That was Dylan Disu who closed out. So Ulrich is the low man here. So watch him track the driver. So my bad. They kind of wait. What? I apologize. I am so confused right now. It was Ulrich who closed out. So Ulrich closes out here. He drives his defender into the help, which is Dylan Disu, and Ulrich comes over and just smashes it away. I think we need to like watch that again. The 905 camera angles for the Skyhawk games are so far away that sometimes you're really, really having to like check your eyes, be like, who is that again? Who am I watching here? Is that number 9 or number 22? So yeah, that's Ulrich switching out. And again, kind of just the ability to almost block this with his he blocked that with his arm. He didn't block that with his hand. He blocked that with his arm. That's crazy. Like that is just absolutely an insane play. Okay. So again, as I said, it's not all highlights. There's going to be a couple lowlights here as well. So here Ulrich is boxing out for the offensive rebound, gets the offensive rebound. There's really no need to rush this, but the defender gets the ball on he gets his hand on the ball, and Ulrich just sort of rushes to finish. So, he'll learn. He will learn. And when he learns, it's going to be lights out for the G League. You're going to see him putting up like 20 and 12 every night, maybe even more. Because, yeah. Now, this is the second time Ulrich has blown a dunk in the 905. Like, this is just nerves because clearly this is not physics. He can clearly get above the rim. He's a very athletic jumper, but here he is, just a little bit jumpy and trying to do too much. And once again, just kind of doesn't completely know where he is sometimes. And yeah, after we look at these, I'm going to give you a bit of a takeaway of what I felt with him. Again, this is not the first time, the second time, or the 10th time that he switched out onto the perimeter and really just tried to do something positive on the perimeter. And here it's just being disruptive, having active hands, getting into the passing lane. Didn't really foul there, but yeah, he falls out of the play. He did recover to get back into the play, but it's just worth noting that, he's trying. There's intensity and motor there. And you never have to it's kind of great to I would say it's genuinely great to coach kids where you don't have to worry about motivating them to try. Ulrich with the contest there, forcing the miss. Dylan Disu with the rebound. You see Ulrich just jumping up the court. He gets the ball there, and he's just going to do a nice little hook shot there. I am completely out of it. It's like that's actually if you want to know why the live was so delayed, that's why it was so delayed. Like my brain just could not comprehend breaking these clips apart and posting them. I was like getting lost. It's like Yeah, my mind is very tired right now. Okay, next year he's dunking this. All right. So this is another one of those what if moments, right? Where you see the glimmer of hope, right? And he gets stuffed, right? Just putting a body into the defender probably would have created enough contact for an and one there, but he just tries to get cute with it, flick it up, and he's going to get stuffed. He'll learn. That's a really good shot blocker there. And sometimes you just have to know who you're putting it up against. A lot of this just happened in the first quarter, so just take a look at this one. This was really just impressive. Look at how high he gets. Now, I believe that was called a foul, if I'm not mistaken, but the attempt is what mattered. The physics of it and the motor of it is what mattered. This probably one of the most impressive plays of the night. If you're talking about just like pure, what if he could do this? This is like a 100% Giannis Antetokounmpo move. You know, tiptoeing along the baseline and just putting it up with the and one. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he missed the free throw, but nevertheless, now, look at Ulrich switching onto a guard. Just look at this deterrence. And again, I keep using the word deterrence because that's really what he is, right? When you're a switch big, all you have to do is contain the basketball. Really, you don't have to block the shot. You don't have to steal the basketball away. You're a big. You're supposed to get crossed up here. He's supposed to be able to blow past you. You're 18 years old. You're clumsy. You're, inexperienced. That's a veteran guard there. And, you say what you want about the G League or it's not very I mean, that's a professional basketball player there, and you're stopping him from going where he wants to go because look at how switchable his hips are, right? Like the fact that he's able to contain the basketball there without fouling, without reaching, without doing anything stupid. That was good. Okay, let's flash forward into the second half. Ulrich checks in, and immediately, we see some impact here. Charlie Brown Jr. guarding well, but this is when I say rim deterrence. When a guy has blocked a few shots, especially in the spectacular ways that Ulrich is blocking them, where it's almost like taking the air out of the building, you find offensive players more or less reluctant to go to the rim and they start to overthink the shot. They start aiming it. We saw this last year when Victor Wembanyama swatted 10 shots for the Raptors, where the Raptors just really started to overthink everything. They started to aim everything. Well, that's what rim deterrence and shot blockers do. And that's really the one player the Toronto Raptors do not have right now, because I guarantee you, Jakob Pertl and Chris Boucher are not striking fear in the hearts of anybody right now. But this is like, it's just the defender just overthinks it. And Joyner is the guy who scored 25 points last time. So that's like one of their better players. I believe he was on the Skyhawks last year. All right. This one is a close finish. Again, as I said, it's not all highlights. Some of them are lowlights. And you're going to see a moment like this where Ulrich, once again, this is like the second time. That's actually the third bunny he missed, right? He missed the other one where the guy blocked it. Then he missed a dunk. And then he misses this. You make those three shots, you got 18 points. Like, think about that. You got 18 points from an 18-year-old kid who's playing his third professional basketball game here. I don't know, like, what you consider what his experience in Africa was, but I don't consider that professional basketball. I consider that amateur basketball. Now, this time he's going to finish, and this was a nice roll from Ulrich. He sets the screen, really good screen, really frees up the defender, which creates the panic, right? So you set the good screen, first of all. Like, look at how solid this screen was. Really held position. He just cleared that guy. Like, he got his offensive player here. He got him like a good, that's Charlie Brown Jr. He got him a good like 3 feet of separation there. And good read by Charlie Brown Jr. to make this pass to Ulrich, and then good catch. And Ulrich finishes with a dunk and the and one. That was also an and one. I believe that was an and one. So again, the screen creates the advantage, and then the finish. It's almost like, now this is one of the most impressive blocks of the night for Ulrich, as this was truly an incredible one. Look at this one. Times this perfectly. He's just waiting, waiting, waiting. Number 22, does he wanna you can't you can't like, my god. How do you even do this? Like, he's just waiting. He doesn't look like he's gonna do anything, and he gets up so quick. The defender is already up. Ulrich is on the floor. The defender is now going up even more, and Ulrich just keeps going up, and it's like the defender's just like, "I'm gonna go up," and then Ulrich is like, "I'm gonna go up even more." Oh my god. So much of shot blocking is, your hand-eye coordination, but some of it is just how quickly do you get up? And Ulrich gets up really fast. Really fast. This is really impressive. Now, as I said, it's not all highlights. Some of them are lowlights. And here, he's going to get schooled by their best player, and he just puts it up there, So that was, what's his name again? Dominic Barlow. So that was Dominic Barlow, professional basketball player, guy who's had quite a bit of wave in NBA circles. Really just cool. Went to the line for two. Now, I really like this one, but he doesn't quite finish. And again, this is another one of those where if you're a little bit stronger with the basketball, you're probably going for the N one. Instead, he does get fouled. And I said he goes to the line for two, but clearly this was not called a shooting foul because the stat sheet doesn't credit him with these free throws. So either he has 14 points or he didn't go to the line for this one. But I seem to remember him going to the line for two. He did go to the line for two. This is the stat sheet is wrong. Man, this College Park shit is weird. I gotta tell you, like I vented about it in the last show, but the College Park Skyhawks entire broadcast and everything is just it's so bad. Their box score keeping is bad. For the second game in a row, they have added the points total to the blocks against column, and I'm finding discrepancies in their box score. Not to mention, I had to literally go in and brighten all of these images so that you could see them because their broadcast is like three stops too dark. It's just like it's really hard to see anything. And then on the broadcast, they were talking about how they're trying to create an industry for filmmakers by offering volunteer positions. And I was like, that's it. The people who are running your broadcast are volunteers. That makes sense. No shade on volunteers. Volunteers are awesome, but you still gotta maintain some standards, man. Oh, smashed it. Loved it. That reminded me of like an old school center, man. And big shout outs to Chuck Swirsky. And I said, as Chuck Swirsky would say, that was sick, wicked, and nasty. And it was. That's exactly the type of dunk. That was like one of those Pops Mensa Bonsu Keon Clark dunks. You know who he reminds me of right now? And I know like I have much, much loftier expectations of him. But right now, he just really reminds me of a bulkier Keon Clark. Like he does so many of those Keon Clark things with his go-go gadget arms. Like boom, you know? Okay, maybe he's like right now, maybe he's closer to a Jerome Moiso. There you go. There's your Raptors knowledge for the day. Those are some deep, deep Raptors players. If you haven't followed the Raptors since 2000, you have no idea who I'm talking about. All right, give me a W if you remember Jerome Moiso, Maceo Bastin. Man, these were some interesting players. Now, again, we talked about rim returns. This is making a defender really just get in their head. He doesn't know what to do. He's just like, what should I do? And then he just basically drives the ball into Ulrich's hands. Like, just Ulrich just trying to stay upright without fouling. Doesn't foul. Just goes out of bounds. It's really interesting. Just like his ability to track it is really cool. All right. Now, this is his first and only three that I recall in the 905 game so far. I do expect him to take more of these as the season goes on, and I hope that they can see that he's working on these in practice. But we saw plenty of these in the summer, and if the defense is just going to back off, Dominic Barlow just backs off here, and he does contest a little bit late. But take a look at Ulrich's form. I mean, I don't really love his feet placement on this. Hang on, let's see here. It's a little bit crooked. Yeah, I don't love his feet placement on this one, but nevertheless, the follow through, there's it's not nearly as it's not like we're not acting like this is Ray Allen's jump shot, right? But it's something that he can consistently make. Now here's a late contest, but you see now the value of that 7'4" wingspan. Musa Diabate can shoot occasionally, and I believe that is Musa Diabate, although don't take my word for it. But I believe that that is Musa Diabate, and that's what counts. And I think that he can shoot. And yeah, again, just getting that hand up there at 7 feet tall with a 7'4", 7'5" wingspan with those big hands, even from a 5 foot standstill, you're able to bother the shot, right? And again, it's giving the defender enough space to get this off a little clean. Maybe an NBA offensive player would make this shot, but you have to also just consider the part of this, which is like he's also giving some space in case there's a drive, right? He just doesn't understand the game very well. And we'll talk about that right now. Like basically like what he's doing and how it's so impressive, the fact that he's able to do what he's able to do because he's so limited in what he's able to do. This was his sixth foul, and this unfortunately knocked him out of the game. This was I want to say a two possession game at this point, and then Brandon Carlson checked in and the Raptors 905 lost from there. But yeah, overall, -1 in a lot of minutes when typically you're playing professional basketball as a super raw 18-year-old. You're usually like -12, -15 very quickly. The College City Skyhawks, College Park Skyhawks. I apologize if I called them College City at some point because I am pretty much brain dead at this point. The College Park Skyhawks are, per my estimation, a pretty decent team. They were relatively healthy today, even though they once again didn't have Keaton Wallace. But yeah, overall, not bad. Okay. Johnny Acing, Jamal McGlure type frame. I really don't I wouldn't compare him to Jamal McGlure at all. But shout outs to Big Cat. Okay. Let's break this down and let's talk a little bit about this. Okay. So yeah, elephant in the room. I'm not feeling my greatest today, and it's just been a one of those longer days, which I just feel like it's been. I don't really want to get into it, but it's been a weird day. But nevertheless, uh, let's talk about Ulrich and his current limitations. And Thierry Fontaine saying, "I have little faith in Chomche. I don't think the basketball IQ will come along." Sure, I mean, look, he's a 57th overall pick. You didn't draft a surefire all-star here, but I do think the basketball IQ will come along. I really do. Man, Shamshay looks like Giannis when it's a little blurry. Haha. Coach Roach saying Shamshay needs reps, reps, and more reps. I hope they prioritize his development. Well, they certainly are prioritizing his development. So here's what I'll say. Something that I'm learning from Ochai Abaji, actually, and this is very important because I've been doing a lot of digging into Ochai Abaji just because he's so impressive right now for the Raptors. And I remember thinking I really liked him at Kansas. I liked him at the draft. Obviously, the Raptors didn't have the pick, and sure, you're not going to select him in 2022 because you didn't have a pick in 2022, but in 2021 the Raptors were interested in him. And Masai Ujiri's had this really long relationship with him. But I remember thinking, like, what did I like about Ochai at Kansas? And I just liked how he moved. I liked his movement patterns. I liked, how quickly he jumped. I liked how he could jump going backwards. I liked just some of the ways that he can contest at the rim, how he can get up so quickly, how he had this like really good hand-eye coordination defensively and offensively, like where he would poke the ball away in these very, very small gaps. Also liked the fact that he was toolsy and the fact that he could shoot and dribble the basketball a little bit, that he had this sort of fluid, hitchless athleticism in the transition, and that he was just a bullet train. I like that he was a pure athlete. Ulrich is a pure athlete, just like Ochai is a pure athlete. Ochai, upon digging a little bit more, you find out that both his parents were basketball players at the University of Wisconsin. His sister, 6'3", played volleyball at the University of Texas. And you just get it that sometimes these things are pretty much genetic, right? Athleticism is a lot of it is genetic. A lot of it is trained, but a lot of it is genetic. But just you can't That's genes. I'm sorry. 6'11", can cross the court in probably 3 dribbles. That's genes. Giannis, Scotty, Ulrich, that's genes. Shaquille O'Neal, that's genetics. Sorry, you can train as hard as you want. You're never gonna be able to move that way. You're never gonna be able to cover ground that way. What he does so incredibly well right now is play on instinct. His instincts are really good, but his instincts are overly prioritizing the basketball. Everything's about the basketball. So he loses his man in transition very often. He's like a 7 foot tall Davion Mitchell. You know what I mean? Like he's very obsessed with the basketball. He's zeroed in on the basketball. He's like, where's the basketball? Where's the basketball? Oh, there it is. Block it. Oh, where's the basketball? Where's the basketball? Oh, let me poke it. Where's the basketball? Where's the basketball? Let me call for it. He doesn't understand anything other than the basketball right now. Everything is where's the ball, right? That is a matter of reps, coaching, development. Here, I'll tell you why I disagree fundamentally with you, Terry. I disagree with you for a lot of reasons. Number one, he is 18 and he is in a development program that is just tailor made for guys like him. There's a lot of support for him. His coach was a former big man, Darko Rajakovic, Jaume Layla, this entire coaching staff. He will eventually get some run with the main team as well. He's got Kelly Olynyk, Jakob Pertl. He's got a pool of resources here. So that's one reason I really do believe it, which is in the situation that he's in is really good. The second reason I believe in him so much is because he is just really smart. Like you listen to this guy talk, you listen to some of the questions he asks, you hear some of the stories about him, from Joe Tuamu and others. I have heard a lot from people who covered the 905 about him and just how attentive he is. So in a film session or in a scrum or in a timeout, even when he's not in the game, right? There's a particular example where he's not in the game, like he's out of the game. He hasn't checked into the game yet. But he'll go and he'll start paying attention to the clipboard and see what the coach is drawing up. And then when the timeout is over, he'll ask the player next to him if he has any questions. He'll be like, "So what was that?" You don't see that typical thing with a lot of 18-year-olds where they just kind of have a blank stare and they're just kind of like waiting. He's an active learner. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not a teacher, I'm not a coach, but I did a lot of tutoring through university. I did a lot of tutoring, and one of the things you learn is that there are kids who just are dying for the session to be over, and then there are kids who are dying for the session to start. And sometimes you would encounter those kids who were just like doing the time, right? They felt like they were in prison. They would go through the motions. If you asked them a question, they would answer your question. But if you ended the conversation there, they would just kind of stare into the air until you initiated something. Then you would have these kids where you would get there and they would open their book and there would be like 17 or 18 tabs that were highlighted and they had all these questions for you. Like, okay, I had a question about this. And guess which kid succeeded? It was almost always the second kind. There's this one kid, shout outs to Robson, and this other kid, shout outs to Emily. These two kids specifically, they started out as D students ish in grade 4 when we started with them. By the time they graduated high school, they were honor roll students. They got full scholarships, one of them to McGill, one of them to Penn State. So you track these people for a long enough period of time, you learn to observe the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. Ulrich is like one of those players that I just fundamentally believe in because I really just believe in his process. It's not just his tools, because the tools are immense. It's not just his capacity for growth. It's not just the fact that he wants to build hospitals and that he has these elite measurements and that he's in the perfect situation. It's just that he genuinely wants to get better. Like he cares about this. He cares about this, you know, maybe this is maybe this is hyperbolic to say, but fuck it. I'll say it. I think he cares more about I think he cared more about this individual game than any player who played this game. And I think that shows. I think that shows because he never stops. He's just there. Like, you know what I mean? Like he never stops moving. He never stops hustling. He never stops diving. He never stops trying to rebound. He never stops trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing. And then sometimes he forgets what he's supposed to be doing and he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. And then he like rushes to try to get back to what he's doing. I'm learning something about myself, which is that I really, really root for people like this, and I really root for people like Ochai Abaji. And the reason I brought up Ochai Abaji and I'm bringing him up again right now is because Ochai is just such a phenomenal success story for the Raptors this year. He's leading the entire league among players who are playing over 30 minutes per game, who've played over 5 minutes. Sorry, 5 games. Ochai Abaji is leading the entire league in effective field goal percentage. He's shooting 68%. 68% effective field goal percentage, which includes 48% from three. He's more efficient than Nikola Jokic, 62%. He is more efficient than Domantas Sabonis, who barely takes threes. Ochai is taking 4 threes a game, right? Thierry saying, I've played with many smart students at university. The smartest students and had the best basketball IQ, myself included, smart on paper, asking many questions, understanding the plays, but sometimes the game is just too fast. Yeah, but he's 18, right? So the capacity for growth for the mind is just so elite. And also, you're smart friends and you didn't play for the Raptors, right? I'm also pretty sure that a lot of you didn't have the physical tools he has. Do you know how many centers in this league are just there because they're pretty much 7 feet tall? You think Alex Len really has a deep fundamental understanding of the game? Like he's a superstar? No. You think JaVale McGee had this deep fundamental understanding of the game? You know how many times the game was too fast for JaVale McGee? These guys succeed because of the physics of being tall. There just aren't that many coordinated 7 footers in this world who can do what they do. So the fact that Ulrich at 18 can already shoot, the fact that he's already a pro, the fact that he works as hard as he does, yeah, sure, maybe the game never slows down for him like it does for Giannis. But have you seen him in the short roll? Did you watch his summer league play? He's a quick decision maker. I'm sorry, like I understand what you're saying, but I fundamentally think that you're wrong here. And we can certainly bring this up in a couple of years and you can tell me why you were wrong. But yeah, like I'm not saying he's going to be a star. I'm not saying he's going to be Giannis. I'm just telling you this kid has a real chance to be special because he has all these tools that combine for such a unique cocktail. Like, sure, you can find a 7 footer with long arms, but they probably can't shoot. They probably have broken mechanics, or they're older. There's a lot of 7 footers in Division 1 basketball that just can't move, right? There's 7 footers who can run fast, but then they cannot move laterally at all, right? Like they can run really fast, but they cannot move laterally at all. So you take a guy like James Wiseman, who's a gazelle up and down the court, but when you ask him to switch on to a defender, he really struggles because his hips don't move like that. Okay, so what if you do manage to find a 7 footer with sufficiently long arms who can run up and down the court and can actually move laterally, but maybe they're not the greatest vertical athlete. Maybe they can't get off the ground really quickly. It's not just how high you jump, it's how quickly you get there, right? So he has all of that, all of it. Now, what if you find a 7 footer who can run like a gazelle, right? Has super long arms. Okay. He can sprint. He can run like a gazelle. He has super long arms. He's tall. He's young. He's bouncy. Okay. He can switch his hips and he can move laterally. You have all of this, but he doesn't have a high motor. He doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to rebound. You have to motivate him to try it. You're like, hey, think about the contract. Think about the next contract, man. Come on. You got a real chance here. You know how many 7 footers there are like that? You know how many 7 footers like that there are in high school? Okay, fine. Now you have a 7 footer who really works hard on the court. He has switchable hips. He has long arms. He has good hands that can catch the basketball. We forgot about that part. He has all those boxes checked, right? And he has super high motor. Doesn't have great work ethic. You know, he doesn't believe in the work. He doesn't believe in the coaching. He believes his best friend who tells him he's a good basketball player and that he should be getting a lot of minutes. So he doesn't trust Ulrich, from what I've heard, from every single person who has ever been around this guy, including 2 people who are covering the 905 right now, including one person from the BAL, including Joe Tuomu, including a person that I think I mentioned this when we did the Joe Tuomu interview, someone who was on campus when he did the visit. First one in the gym, last one out, right? Coach Roach saying, I'm willing to invest the 57th pick in Chomche. He's a long ways away, but I'm curious to see him when he's 20 to 21 years old. Dude, I would have been willing to invest the 17th overall pick in Ulrich. It's not about the 57th pick. I'm not kidding. Like I don't think people understand how good he's gonna be, but that's okay. We're not here to convert anybody. But I thought that I would try to prove my thesis or at least try to prove my point to Thierry because it seems Thierry is a little bit more bearish on Ulrich. And that's fine, man. Look, I heard a lot of this shit about Eve Misi. I heard a lot of this about Dyson Daniels. They both seem to be thriving. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect with my prospect analysis. I was super high on Jabari Smith, and he's struggling hard. But for the most part, if I go like really, really like in on a player, it's usually because I've seen something very special and I'm willing to, I'm willing to bat. I'm willing to go to bat for that. I wish I watched him more before summer league because right now I don't have enough data points. My retrospective is from summer league and preseason. Did you? Okay, yeah. So I'll give you my brief breakdown of it. I watched him 6 months before the draft, and I was out on him. He had 2 moving screens in that game. He picked up 2 stupid fouls. He lost his man on multiple occasions. He took a really, really bad shot and he had a nasty turnover. And that was it for me. I was out. I was out on Ulrich. I just refused to buy the hype. I thought he was so, so, so far away from being good. I thought, hey, there's some good athletic upside here, but I just didn't get it. And what really broke me was there was an interview with him where he just seemed very timid, very shy. And I was just like, you know what? Forget it. Forget it. Right? Like I was just out. So going into the draft, I wasn't speaking about him in most of our lives. I talked about Jonathan Mobo. I talked about Eve Misi ad nauseum, but I didn't talk about Ulrich. And so when we got him, I was like, cool, cool, you know? But the more I dug into him after we drafted him, the more film of him I watched, the more I realized that I had made a really tremendous mistake. That partially because of some of those bad possessions that I had very, very much prejudged this prospect, very incorrectly, actually. So when the Raptors got him and all that film analysis that I did, and then I sought like extra footage on him that I didn't have access to before. So then I got that and I started just watching him. And what I saw was a player who had taken a really, really, really big leap over a year. Okay. So 2022, 2023, 2024. So those are the 3 data points, right? Seeing him in Summer League was a freaking revelation because there were passes that he was making in the short roll in Summer League where I was like, oh my God, like he wouldn't have made this. Like this was a turnover just a year ago. So his basketball IQ is expanding very quickly. Once again, he doesn't understand the intricacies of the game because he hasn't played the game enough. He hasn't played enough games. You understand? Like this was a big issue with the BAL and the basketball, not the BAL, sorry, the NBA Africa Academy. They didn't play enough games. They barely played games. There was a lot of skill work. So he's very skilled, right? He has good touch around the basket, relatively, you know, today not included completely. He he has like pretty good technique on closeouts. Like he understands all the drill stuff. Like he will shine in a drill. Like he's the Yi Jian Lian, except he's actually 18. The difference here is when you get into a game setting, everything is unpredictable. It's not predictable reps, it's all unpredictable. And so now you're reacting and you're going up against professionals. I don't give a shit what you say. Most 18-year-olds will struggle tremendously in the G League. Even first round picks. If you're 18, you're probably going to struggle in the G League. As we've seen with the G League Ignite team, they have had plenty of prospects struggle. So the fact that he is having a game like this, where I promise you, if you watch this game and it's on G League TV, go watch it. Go watch it in completion. Go watch the possessions that I didn't break down and just observe him. Just zero in on him. The announcers talked about him like 10 times. They were just like, he is basically like his rim deterrence is so crazy. Like they are thinking about him. He's been so impactful. Again, 18 years old. This is not normal. There's nothing normal about doing this to professional athletes when you're 18 years old. Just sorry. I watched I watched Jermaine O'Neal when he was 17. I watched Dirk Nowitzki when he was 18. I watched Andrea Bargnani when he was 18. I obviously have watched Scotty Barnes. He was 16. I watched Kevin Durant when he was 16. Trust me, man, there's like such a gap between 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds when it comes to just physical growth, maturity. He is just so strong for an 18-year-old. He is able to hold position against grown men. I don't think you're giving this enough credit to if you're out there just saying like, "Oh, I don't really get the big deal. Rob's hyping this guy up." I don't think you get it. But anyways, I remain very, very impressed with him overall and his work ethic, and I am just praying for him to work out. And again, it's the same thing with the Ochai thing. And I'm gonna get some sleep because I desperately need it. I am trying to cut out coffee as well, which is probably why like my brain, like there's a when you don't have coffee, like when you have too much coffee for like a long period of time and then you cut it out right away, your brain goes through like this magnificent change and it makes you borderline incoherent for an entire day. This is my incoherent day. This live has been probably a complete mess. I've probably screwed up names. I've probably screwed up everything. But I thank you guys for bearing with me and for bearing with the constant delays on this. We have now moved into midnight. So thanks. And I'm probably going to clip the last 25 minutes of this because it was total nonsense. But thank you guys for hanging around anyway. I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure to give this one a like on your way out. And Tetrahydrogon saying you're going to get a headache for a few days with caffeine withdrawals. Maybe I do when I go off it. Yeah, caffeine's a hell of a drug, right? Shouldn't have mentioned drugs on a live stream. See, this is what's happening with me right now. Take care, guys. Bye.